Yeah, welcome, welcome. So we are running through a new routine today. Let me grab my board here and I'll show you what that routine is. Oh, it's right underneath us. All right, so this is the same type of structure as we've been doing for the last mesocycle, last 4 weeks, but we're switching things up. So the exercises we will encounter today are some alternating dead stop ski swings. That's a kettlebell swing variation. It's not too different than stuff we've done before, ski swings and alternating reps where you pass the handle. We'll be doing some split squats, so you'll need something to elevate your rear foot on, whether it's a chair or a bench or a stool or whatever. Split squats with bicep curls. I'm going to be doing the bicep curls with a band. You could also use dumbbells, but I'm using a band, so if you want to stick with me, grab your bands. Then we'll be doing some pullover bridges. We'll be down on the ground doing hip thrusts for the glutes while we do lat pullovers for the lats and triceps. Then we'll be doing single leg Romanian deadlift rows. We've done these in the past, but it was months ago, so bringing them back around for a refresher. That's a single leg deadlift exercise where we hinge over on one leg and we do a row. I'm going to use a kettlebell for that. You can also use a dumbbell. And then we'll be doing some cross back lunges with an overhead press. I didn't write the overhead press in there. That's a single arm overhead press. Some of these will be kind of new, but they're familiar exercises, maybe new combinations, putting them in conjunction with each other. Over here on this side, this is actually what we're doing first, similar to the last cycle. Some body work, some stretching, mobility, and range of motion work. I feel that we've all responded very well to that. We all appreciate that, and we can tell how much that helps us feel better, move better, and get more out of our sessions, both the second half of today's session and our sessions and lives overall. So let me grab, I just forgot a chair, so let me grab my chair for my split squats, and we'll hit the ground running with we're going to be rolling out the lats. So grab your foam roller, hit the ground, get ready to roll your lats.
Can you mute everybody?
Yes, I will mute everybody. Rad and meow. All right, I'm actually using a roller today, not just a peanut, although I do love using that peanut. I am looking for the mute everybody button. It's like sometimes these things are easy to find and sometimes they're nowhere to be found. I can mute myself. Let's see. Oh, mute all. There it is. Yeah, peanut's great. All right, one more sip of coffee. And then it's time to roll the lats. Okay, we're down on the ground. We're on our cardboard boxes. And I'm putting all my weight directly on the side of my body, right below my armpit. I'm going to use my legs to roll me up and down. Rolling me up and down. Oh, muchas bolsas. Wow. Oh yeah, breathe with it. I'm working with an extra hard foam roller today. It's really just a PVC pipe. And it does the job. It does the job well. Breathe through it now. I'm really just working on the mid lats right now. The meatiest part of my lats. Knowing that we're going to come back around to it in round 2. Alright, let's switch sides. Un segundo, tengo dinero para ti. Alright, switching sides. Oh, breathe with it now. Don't forget to breathe. If you're like me today, I did a lot of pull-ups this week, and I did a lot of pull-downs this week. My lats are tender and sore, which makes this very valuable and beneficial, especially for our workout today. But the lats are much more tender for me than they would be otherwise, so it's hard not to just wince and hold my breath and grit my teeth. So I gotta think about breathing every single roll. Oh, yeah. Oh, okay, that's great. All right, hop on up. We're going to be going into some yin-yangs. Yin-yangs is one of those upper body mobility exercises that we're familiar with, we know and love. We maybe haven't done them for a long time. And we don't need anything for that. Solo tengo 9 medias, pero es suficiente. ¿Cuántas bolsas? 11. Okay, 11 segundos. Okay, arms out wide. All right, we're taking care of a month's worth of trash right now. And hey, yeah, we remember yin-yangs. And now you can probably see why we rolled the lats prior to this, because reaching across and behind benefits greatly from having some enhanced capabilities in lengthening our lats. And that's really what I feel stretching primarily. Again, my lats are sore, so you might be different. But what I feel here is a big old lat stretch because I'm reaching over my head. Maybe I'm emphasizing on the lat stretch because that's where I know I'm tight and I can get the most benefit out of these yin-yangs. I do feel there are a lot of benefits to these yin-yangs. Let's get 2 more, and then we're going to be foam rolling the quads. So we're going to be back on the ground, hitting the front of our thighs. Okay. Let's grab your roller. Busca en mi camión en el centro. Hay más quitados en mi camión. Oh boy, this is going to be a good one too on this PVC roller. And I know that we've all got foam rollers, and we've all had foam rolling homework before, and we've all done a fair amount of foam rolling. We've all done a fair amount of foam rolling on our own, but I feel that, me personally, and I feel that this goes for our whole team, we can certainly benefit from keeping each other accountable and doing these simple body work tasks together, just so that we have a little bit more frequency getting them in, and that we just do it. Because sometimes we don't love foam rolling the quads. Sometimes we don't like foam rolling anything, but it's like brushing your teeth. It's good for you, so stay consistent with it. Get a couple more rolls in, a couple more rolls. And then you're going to come up onto your feet. We're doing a dynamic squat stretch now. So dynamic squat stretch, that can mean a lot of things. So we're going to do it 2 different ways today. First way we're going to do it, we're going to come down and do a deep, 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 deep squat. I'm going to grab your ankles. See, my knees are open. My arms are on the inside of my thighs. I'm going to push my butt up in the air, stretching the hamstrings. Drop my butt down to my heels, spreading the knees with my elbows. Hips go up, big hamstring stretch. Hips come down, spread and open the knees. Hips go up, big hamstring stretch. Hips come down, push those knees out, big groin stretch. Now I like this dynamic squat stretch. It's great to just hop, squat down and hold a static stretch. And it's great to just hinge over and stretch your hamstrings. But when you transition back and forth in a more of a dynamic manner instead of an isometric squat, it's a little bit more appropriate for prepping yourself to work out. Stretching is great. Stretching is wonderful. I'm all for it. But prior to exercising, especially with the type of stuff we do that demands our fullest range of motion possible, dynamic stretching is a little safer and a little more effective for prepping us. Let's get one more. All right. Now we're going to hop back down to the ground. We're going to do something called a seated rotation toe touch. All right, we're on our butts. We got legs out wide. We're going to add a little bit of a twisting motion in here, some transverse motion. Sitting up tall, arms out wide. We're going to twist, tilt, and reach for the opposite hand to the opposite toe. Twist, tilt, reach. In that order, tell yourself, twist, tilt, reach. Come up to the middle. Twist, tilt, reach. Twist, tilt, reach. I'm taking it slow right now. Second round will speed things up. Second round will speed it up. Keeping the legs wide so that when we twist and reach, we get a little bit of hip adductor action. I like feeling the lower back, the lumbar area rotating and twisting prior to a workout. I think twisting and rotating is a great way to get your spine prepped, really for much of any workout, even if your workout doesn't entail a lot of twisting, wringing out the towel, so to speak. Feels very good to me. All right, we're back at the top. We know what's going on now. We know what to expect, so let's speed things up a little bit. Going into our foam roller, or our PVC roller here. Going into our lat rolls. This time, I'm going to focus a little bit more on the upper lat in conjunction with my rear delts. See, when I hit my mid to lower lats, my hips kind of come up off the ground to give me the right angle and the right leverage. But when I'm rolling my posterior delts and my lats, which, you know, again, this should be pretty familiar. We rolled the lats a few weeks ago. Yeah, you can keep the hips on the ground. I like to support my head with my hands too, so my neck is not just holding the weight of my head up. Strengthening your neck is great, but we want to relax and drape over the foam roller. Not feel like we're tensing up more than we are already trying to avoid tensing up. All right, switch sides. You'll notice I'm only rolling maybe 4 or 5 inches up and down, the very top of my lats and posterior delts. Those two tie in together, and really overhead mobility, shoulder mobility is affected by your delts, all 3 heads of your delts and your lats, but your posterior delts and your lats, they really overlap a little bit in their functionality. Kind of like your hamstrings and your glutes, they work together. Even if you're doing a glute exercise, your hamstrings are involved a little bit. Even if you're doing a hamstring exercise like Romanian deadlifts, your glutes are involved. So they work together. Second time around, it's much less of a shock to the muscles, and you can really just kind of dig and find what you need. All right, let's hop up. Let's go into our yin-yangs. Arms out wide. Reach over, tuck across, and reach back. Now I can tell right away after that first round and after rolling my delts and lats again that, and it might not look much different to you, but it feels a lot different to me in my ability to free up my scapulas, to let those floating scap joints rotate upward, rotate downward, for my lats to lengthen as I reach over my head. Inhale when you open up. Exhale as you tuck and reach. Inhale, open up. Exhale, tuck and reach. A couple more. You see, I'm going a little faster this round. A little faster on everything. Okay. I'm gonna hit the deck. Let's roll those quads. This time, me personally, I'm going to externally rotate my toes. You can try this too. Hips externally rotated, exposing the inside of your quadriceps, the more medial part of your quadriceps. So my toes are really angled out even more than they were last time. This might, if you didn't do this before, this might feel like a whole new level of wonder to you. because we are now, especially as you approach your knees, on the inside of your knees, we're rolling your vastus medialis. Vastus medialis is the inner part of your quadriceps. Usually it's a tear jerker. Vastus medialis is known as the teardrop muscle because it's shaped as a teardrop. Shaped like a teardrop, but also makes you want to cry a little bit. Vastus medialis is responsible for a lot of knee pain and a lot of knee joint imbalances. And if you're rolling the inside of your thighs and that really does make you want to cry or grit your teeth or wince up, chances are you could benefit from that more than you know. All right, hop on back up. Let's go into our dynamic squat stretch. Going to do this a little different this time. So let's take our squat stance, toes angled out a little bit, coming all the way down. This time, I'm going to shimmy and shake side to side, back and forth. Then I'm going to go hips up again, and I'm going to shimmy and shake side to side, just a couple times each side, back down into the squat, prying the knees open with the elbows, back and forth a couple times, hips up, rock back and forth, straightening out one knee, bending the other knee. So you see we kind of switch from right side to left side with the hamstring stretch, and right side to left side with the quad, glute, and calf stretch. When I'm down in my squat stretch, I let one heel come up as I shift that direction. So I stretch my foot, my toes, my ankles, my Achilles tendon. And doing this little shimmy shake side to side helps you explore a little deeper in your hip joint capsule, how you need to pry, how you need to shift. Exposes your own personal tightnesses, aka weaknesses, which sometimes are hard to find. You got to dig around a little bit. All right, let's go into those seated rotation toe touches. Getting everything from the hamstrings. I'm going to try to go legs even wider this time so I get to rotate more. Stretching everything from the hamstrings to the groin, lower back, a little bit of lats. Depending on how tight you are, you might feel this stretch all the way up your side, up your lats. Protract your scapula as you reach. Give your rhomboids a little stretch. Try to keep your knees as straight as possible. They can be bent, you don't have to be straight. But as long as you feel a great hamstring stretch, and you'll see I have sped this up from first gear to third gear. Oh yeah. A couple more on each side. All right, nice. Hop on up. Take your shirt off. I need a happy medium, so I'm going to keep the hat on. Sorry, I got to hide the skullet because it's still a little cold out here. Take a real quick sip, and we're going to run through our first round, starting with our alternating dead stop ski swing. So get yourself a kettlebell handy. If you don't have a kettlebell, dumbbell works just fine. All right, check it. An alternating dead stop ski swing. We've done ski swings, that's when you've got the weight on one side. We've done alternating ski swings where you switch from side to side. We've got a narrow stance, feet parallel. A dead stop ski swing, we're going to start these in front of us, in between our feet, so that when you squat down and reach, you can just barely reach the kettlebell. Now here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to hike the kettlebell behind me to initiate my first swing. I'm going to swing on the other side. I'm going to swing through my legs, and I'm going to put it back down. Oh, you got to keep your hand on the kettlebell. So we're going to swing it behind us, powered up, switch some hands, powered up, slow it down a little bit, put it on the ground. Stay down here. And now I'm actually going to switch sides just so I can start on the other side. See, it's a dead stop in front of us. Hike it behind you. Get a swing, switch hands, get a swing, slow it down, put it down. We are practicing our starts and our stops. Powered up, through the legs, slow it down, boom. Notice how when I went on that third deceleration, powered up, on this third deceleration, I open my knees up a little bit, so that way I can put it down safely. So starts in front of you from a dead stop. We're already moving, everyone's moving. We're not worried about how many reps we're doing because we're practicing a new sequence here. Dead stop. Stay down here. Keep your hand on the kettlebell. Switch which side you swing to first. You'll notice with this narrow stance and the parallel feet that we're working a lot of quadriceps and that you must spread your knees open on that third deceleration. Now these probably feel like a little bit of a tricky mess to you at first. It also feels a little bit annoying, and that's because dead stop swings force you to focus on the start and the finish in a very controlled manner, which oftentimes is the most neglected part of a swing, is how well can you control the beginning and the finish, not to mention staying down in that squat position with your hand on the weight before you initiate your next sequence. That's hard to do. It's hard to stay down there and not stand up and take a break. I'm gonna get one more here. Now remember, we're gonna get another round to practice these. It's a little different, right? It's a little annoying, right? It's kind of hard. It's kind of weird. That's good. We're doing something we're not used to. Now, you feel like you're not exactly doing that, right? That's how things go at first. It's part of the learning curve to everything. Your body learns. So next we're going to go into our split squat bicep curl. I am going to use a chair and a band. So, chair, I'm going to stand on this band. I'm going to stand on just one layer of the band because it's heavy enough to where that's sufficient. I've got my left foot elevated, so I'm going to squat down like we do in a split squat. Front foot's flat, back knee gets nice and deep. As I come up, supinate into a bicep curl. I'm going to get 10 reps. Drop it on down, come up, and curl. Now we all know what split squats are, and we all know what banded bicep curls are. So, shouldn't really take much watching or listening for you to be able to kind of start to figure out what position you need to get into before we even start these sets. You don't need to trail me by much, because when I say we're doing split squats, you know what split squats are. Say we're doing it with a banded bicep curl, well, you know how to do that. So I don't want to see you 4, 5, 6 reps behind me, because if I say split squat bicep curls, you don't really need an explanation. We've done these before. I know all of you have done stuff like this before with me. That was 10 reps for me. So let's switch legs. Get your 10 in though. I've got the band under my front foot. My right foot is elevated now. Me personally, I like to get deep enough. My goal is always to get deep enough in my split squat to where I feel my glutes and hamstrings engage in my front leg. We don't go very deep. It's all quads. Bottom of a squat is predominantly glutes and hamstrings. Top of a squat is where you work a little bit more of the quadriceps. Now that depends on what type of squats you're doing and how you're built as well. But generally speaking, the deeper you go, the more glutes and hammies. The more shallow you go, it's going to be more of a quad dominant squat. Get your 10 reps in. I'll give you a couple seconds here. Next we'll be going into our pullover bridges. I'm going to use a kettlebell for this. Something that also works well is a slam ball. Dumbbells work great. You could even use a barbell for this. All right, we're down on the ground. Again, pullover bridges. We know we're on the ground thrusting our hips. We know what a pullover is. 1 + 1 = 3. We know what we're doing. So, arms up. Let's start with the arms up, hips up. Let's drop the hips as we drop the weight. Thrust the hips as we pull the weight over. Drop the hips, drop the weight. Thrust the hips and pull over. So we're working the hip hinge movement pattern for the posterior, hamstrings and glutes. Also a little lower back and a little calves. And then we're working the pullover motion, operating solely from the shoulder joint. So it's not a tricep extension. This is not a skull crusher. The elbows stay extended or slightly bent at a constant angle. And we're only pulling from the shoulder joint. That way, we're using your lats. We're going to 15 reps here. And I like to exhale as I thrust, inhale as I lower. Exhale, thrust, inhale, lower. Get your 15 reps in. The pullover works the lats, triceps, and rear delts. If you're squeezing a slam ball, it also works the pecs a little bit. Now we already know at the top of every bridge, doesn't matter what hip thrust variation, what bridge variation we're executing, we always incorporate a posterior pelvic tilt. So every time you thrust those hips, posterior pelvic tilt, tuck the tailbone under, tuck the belly button in a little bit, neutralize the lower back, engage the glutes more, spare the lower back stress. Next, we're going into a single leg Romanian deadlift row. This is a good one. I'm looking forward to these. Looking forward to everything, but when programming this session, I was definitely excited for these. We've done these as well, but it's been months. So bringing them back because nothing ever goes out of style. Single leg Romanian deadlift row. So we're going to do 14 total, 7 on each leg. So I've got my weight on my right leg. The kettlebell is to the right of my right foot. I'm going to hinge over, hinge, 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 hinge. Back foot's up in the air. Bust out a row. Put it back down. Stand up. See the weight's on the ground. That's where it starts. That's where it finishes. I'm going to Romanian deadlift. Row. It's kind of like a warrior 3 yoga move. Back up. There's 2. I'm going to hinge. I push into the ground in order to lift. We're doing this for the benefits of balance. So if you're falling over, that's great. If you're not falling over, are you really trying your hardest? I want to see your back foot up in the air. I'm looking at you. I'm not just looking at me. I'm looking at you, and everybody needs to get their back foot up higher. You think that back foot's up in the air, but it's not. You feel like you're upside down and inverted, but you're not. So get your back foot up higher than your shoulders behind you. You should be a teeter-totter. All right, that's 7 for me. I'm going to switch sides. Remember, we lead with the hips and we lead with the back foot. We don't bend over. We hinge the hips back and we push that back heel up towards the sky. And that's when we get that good hamstring stretch. It's also how we can help keep our center of mass above our anchor, which is the arch of our foot. In order to get a proper hinge and keep your balance with your center of mass over the arch of your foot, you've got to push your hips backwards and you've got to get that back heel up in the air. If you fall over or you feel all the weight, if you fall over, it's typically because your torso and shoulders are shifting too far forward and your weight is shifting into the balls of your feet. Get your 7 reps on each side. I think I got 7, but I'll get 1 more. I can always tell that my left side, I like to think I'm pretty even. I'm pretty anal about being super even on everything. I can always tell my left side is harder to balance and less stable. So, next we're going into a cross back lunge. Cross back lunge with an overhead press. Last exercise of this first round. Wow, we're making great time. All right. So what we're gonna do, I've got a kettlebell. You can use a dumbbell. If you're using a kettlebell, rack it behind you, behind your shoulder, just like this, tuck it in tight. I've got it in my right hand. I'm going to do a cross back lunge for my right leg, which means my left leg steps across and behind. This is familiar with you cross back lunges recently. I'm going to come up and press, simple as that. Cross back lunge, same direction, up and press. We're going to do 8 reps on one side, 8 reps on the other side. So we're doing cross back lunges for your right leg, and we're doing overhead presses for your right arm. Tuck your weight in tight, whether you're using a kettlebell or dumbbell. Tuck it in tight, rack it nice and stable during your cross back lunge. All right, switching sides. We're going 8 on each side. All right. Remember, we always stay squared up, facing forward. That way we get the benefit of the cross back movement pattern. Our front foot is always pointing directly forward in front of us. Our chest is always facing directly forward. Just like our front foot, it's the back leg that travels diagonal to help us load the outside of our hip. And you know, I'm all about good hip health. No matter what, squatting of any sort, deadlifts of any sort, lunges of any sort are wonderful for your hip health. But cross back lunges and those single leg Romanian deadlift rows and even those split squats, those 3 exercises, as much as they can build strength and muscle, I think the biggest benefit we get from those is building stability, aka injury prevention, the injury prevention effects. We're back at the top now with our alternating dead stop ski swing. So grab your kettlebell, get ready for these swings. All right, gonna do these a little differently. Check it out. Now the kettlebell is behind me. I've still got this narrow stance. Kettlebell is behind me. So instead of stopping in front, we stop behind. So let's say I reach back behind me, reach for it. I powered up, switch hands. These are alternating. Powered up, switch hands. I'll get 3. And now I'll dead stop on the left side. Ooh, I like that. Now I'm down here. Kettlebell's on the left side. Dead stop, powered up, 1. Ski swing, powered up, 2. Ski swing, powered up, 3. Now I'm on the right side. That's fun. Reach behind. Complete stop. Powered up. Powered up. Powered up. Put it down gently. Put it down silently behind you. And you're not just putting it right by your ankle or heel. You're reaching behind you. Putting it down behind you. So that way you can really load the bottom of your swing. You're already loaded. Your muscles are engaged. And you're in a difficult isometric tucked in ski squat position. Remember, we're not worrying about reps here. Don't count your reps. This is an exercise. I just want you to feel the movement pattern. Get used to this newer ski swing variation. You know, we've all done ski swings, and we've all done alternating ski swings, but I don't believe that I've implemented these with you with the dead stop. I know I haven't. Let's get a couple more. Jacking the heart rate up. That's supposed to happen. We're doing swings. There's a power movement. Heart rate skyrockets. All right, that's good. If you're like me, that type of dead stop felt a little easier to execute than stopping in front. But they're both good. We're going to do them both. Just because you don't like one as much as the other doesn't mean you skip it. All right, split squat curls. Here we go. Split squat curls. You know what that is. Don't wait for me. You know what split squat curl is. Then again, I'm going to switch legs and go with my left leg first this time. Squeeze those biceps. With my bands, I'm supinating as I curl. Squeeze the palms up. Get 10 on each leg. Now 10 might not seem like a lot to you, but it's your job to make 10 reps as effective as possible. Don't just go through the motion. Get as deep as possible. Control your descent. Squeeze your biceps. Contract and control. Don't just move the weight, which is you. You are the weight. Don't just move the weight. Control the weight. There's a world of difference there. People who just move weights around oftentimes get injured because that's all they're concerned about, is moving weights around. And if that's all people care about is moving weights around, usually they care about just the number on the weight. How heavy is the weight that I'm moving around, when they might not be getting as much benefit out of it. Well, Matt, why are you just bashing on other people? I'm bashing on myself, because that's what I did for 20 years. I still do that. So, you're gonna put yourself in check. Fitness is all about putting your ego in check. The egotistical lifters burn out when they're 22, because that's about the age you can't go crazy anymore. You can do that when you're 18, not even in your 20s or 30s. All right, we're down on the ground. Lat pull over bridges. And you all know I like to lift heavy, but heavy under control. All right, hips up, weight up, drop it all, lift it all. Drop it all, lift it all. Don't forget about that posterior pelvic tilt at the top. Tuck your tailbone under, tuck your abs in, flex your glutes, dig those heels into the ground. If your weight is easy to move, if it's not challenging your pullover movement, straighten your arms out more. Drop the weight behind you and reach as far as you can. The further you reach, the less leverage you have, the harder your muscles have to work. Ties into exactly what I was just saying. If we simply want to move weight, we could do something like shorten the lever, give ourselves more leverage and allow us to move more weight. But our muscles can actually work harder with less weight if we give ourselves a mechanical disadvantage. Get at least 15 reps in. I probably got about 18 there, but 15 was the target. And nothing wrong with 3 extra reps. All right, once you're ready, we're going into our single leg Romanian deadlift rows. Remember, same foot, same arm. So put the weight, I'm going to start on my left side. Put the weight on the outside of your front foot. Hinge, get that back foot up in the air. Row, put it down, stand up without the weight. Hinge and stretch, reach, retract and squeeze, put it down under control. Stand up using your hamstrings. Remember, we push into the ground to row. We push into the ground to stand up. It looks like we're pulling up, but we're actually telling ourselves that we're pushing and applying force into the ground. That makes you stronger, more stable, and engages your core more effectively, which is really just synonymous with making you stronger. Pretty much makes you stronger at everything when you engage your core more effectively. Get your 7 reps in. We don't go fast on these. These are always controlled. This is not an exercise that you benefit from busting out fast reps, because doing this for stability, this means I want you to stay stable. Don't begin your row until you've established a good, solid, single leg Romanian deadlift. Get a good grip, stay stable, then do your row. Put it down, then stand up. Don't cut any corners. Getting that good hamstring stretch. Last rep for me. We got one more exercise. Finish your reps up. Last exercise is our cross back lunge overhead press. All right. I'm starting with my left side this time. I like to switch it up. So my weight's in my left hand. Cross back. Right leg goes behind and across. Step up and press. We're not changing anything. We'll change something next time. But that's the point of a program. You encounter the same routine, only it progresses in some way, shape, or form. And there are many metrics to adjust in order to progress a workout routine. We know that. But we're doing 8 on each side. We can add the weight. We can increase weight. We can play with your tempo. We can change angles, aka change your leverages. We can switch orders and combinations of exercise to account for accumulation of fatigue. We can increase volume. We can increase volume both in a set or in a whole workout. We can do slow negatives, pause reps. Like I said, tempo. And we can do a lot of other things too. Not that I don't want you to go heavier. That is always a goal, to also be able to move heavier resistances to make you stronger. It's how we get stronger, so you're capable of producing more force. That comes from toying with all those dials and metrics. All right, that was a good workout. Remember, this is week 1, so this was the easiest that this workout will be for us. Now, since we've encountered this workout once today, next week we're more familiar with it, so it's a little bit easier in that regard. Our body knows what to expect. We know how to transition from thing to thing. We are familiar with the movement patterns, but we'll progress and make it harder in other ways. So, looking forward to that. Repeat this video. Remember, when you've only got 4 weeks for a mesocycle, doing it 4 times, once each Saturday, that's great. Honestly, that's better than 95% of people adhere to any type of program, or even if they're attempting to do a program. But doing it 2, even 3 times a week, if your life allows, will be greatly beneficial. If you can do this 8 to 12 times in a month, then you really had the frequency and repetition to milk it more, get the benefit out of it before moving on to the next thing. So it's just like brushing your teeth once a week is great. Well, you know what? Brushing your teeth twice a week is twice as good. I wouldn't do this every day. I would say 3 times a week is plenty. But you get the idea. So, happy Saturday. Enjoy your weekend. Don't forget to cool down. And don't stop moving right now. Hydrate up, eat breakfast, and keep moving. Oh, I'm recording it on my phone now.